TUI is really good at promoting travel and making traveling and tourism as a force for good. Be prepared to learn every day, especially in the IT. You need to want to change regularly what you're doing, the way you are doing things. In the world of complexity, it's almost now mission impossible to make decisions alone. You need to have diversity in your analysis when you want to make a decision.
This is CIONET TV. My name is Hendrik Deckers. I'm here today with Isabelle Droll, who is the CIO at TUI for Airline, for corporate, for hotel and resorts, and for sustainability. A very warm welcome, Isabelle.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Isabelle, you study economics in Grenoble. You have an MBA from the Georgia Institute of Technology. You have developed quite an impressive career in finance, in IT and digital transformation, with a focus on customer experience, on operational excellence, and also on sustainability. So, Isabelle, tell us a little bit more about yourself. What is your background, and who are you really, and how did you arrive in this job at TUI?
Thank you. Yes, I came 30 years ago now, in the meantime, to Germany from France, as you say. So it was hazard to come to the tourism industry, but I stayed here, and you saw already a few of colleagues here.
Yeah.
This industry is really keeping people motivated and enthusiastic to work for. So yeah, it's me. I'm very passionate about what I am doing. I really like very much traveling. I have a nice family with 3 children, and I'm happy to be here and working in this international environment at TUI.
Okay, now TUI is a global leader in the travel and tourism industry. So tell us a little bit more about TUI. What is it that TUI is really, really good at? TUI
is really good at promoting travel and making traveling and tourism as a force for good. It's our motto. And actually, we are the only company in one sentence giving a complete journey for the customer. So we are bringing you with a flight to your destination. We are owning the transport from the airport to the hotel. You can stay in our hotels. You can also book a cruise ship, and we are bringing you back also, and taking care overall of your travel experience, holiday experience.
It's a quite huge organization, no? More than 60,000 people that work here?
Yes, there's a lot of people working out here. The main people-driven part of the organization are retail organization on the one hand in the different source market, but it's also the airline with 140 aircraft, our cruises with more than 15 cruise ships, and obviously also our hotels and resorts organization. Okay,
so a wonderful environment, and we talk a little bit later about the culture of the company as well. But first, I want to talk a little bit more about the business and the complexity is the topic that I wanted to address with you today. I mean, we live in the era of data explosion. There's so many applications, so there's a lot of complexity that's building up in large organizations typically. So why do you think that this complexity resonates so much with the business, and how do you look at IT complexity, business complexity, specific in the travel industry?
So the complexity we have at TUI is that we've grown up with a lot of different companies in the different source market. So we have a huge topic on consolidating the information we have and making a good use of it to personalize the travel or your travel experience to help you to choose the best travel experience for you. But it's also managing all your customer journey. So how we informing you about flight delay, how we informing you when you are in the destination, are we promoting some excursions that you could make if you're in the destination. So it's all about making a usage of this information in a consolidated way. And it's the reason why our vision in the IT to come to our business needs is we would like, we want to connect the world of travel, all the suppliers, into global platform for a customer. And today we have different solutions, sometimes in the different markets. So it's all about how can we simplify the landscape we have to deliver a better customer experience.
Okay, and what do you see personally as the biggest challenge in mastering this complexity, managing the complexity that's typically building in the organization?
The biggest challenge, I would say, is this data integration. So it's we are getting information out of a lot of different systems, a lot of different units.
Yeah.
So how I am recognizing that you, Hendrik, are traveling with us since years, but sometimes only with an hotel, sometimes maybe a flight and a hotel, a package. How can I identify this and ensure that we are GDPR compliant, that we are dealing with all these security topics around that? So it's mastering this challenge is one of the biggest one we have. Because if we want to sell you, so I see a lot of advantages in this growth of data to increase the way we are doing revenue. Because we know better what you want to do. We can sell on the travel experience also more excursions, more things, if we can understand who you are and what you need with your family.
Okay, so really knowing your customer, and because there's many different touch points that you have with customers. So making sure to have like a seamless experience over all these touch points, that's not an easy thing, I can imagine.
No, and especially because in comparison to more classical airlines, for example, or business hotels, most of our customers are traveling with us once a year. If we are lucky, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, but most of our customers are really not in a frequent way. So what we are trying to do now also is to increase, thanks to data, the touch point with the customer between 2 main holidays. So trying to get more information about the customer and trying to go into more when you are in a city, like traveling to London, to give you some ideas for excursion and trying to get in touch with you on a more regular basis.
Yeah. And so would you say that creating that seamless customer experience is also important for your competitive position in the market as an organization?
Yes, we have this uniqueness that we are owning all the travel experience in comparison to our main competitors. We are now also managing a lot better to propose to the customer dynamic packaging, so that you can also have some product coming from, for example, we have now connection in the UK with Ryanair. So we are combining now our assets with other providers together. And it's what can make us a lot more resilient and a lot more competitive, because there are some products that you can just book with TUI. And it's where we are speaking about the curated marketplace. If you're coming to us, we are also ensuring a certain level of quality, and we are ensuring also an all-over travel experience.
So doing the integration there and creating a better customer experience, of course, means that you are almost like in a constant digital transformation in the organization. Could you talk a little bit about the transformation that you have been going through over the last couple of years? And because you're very instrumental, of course, in that transformation.
Yes. So I can talk maybe as an example about the consolidation we are doing in Airline. In the airline space, we are really moving into one airline, even if we have 5 different airlines in 5 different countries due to legal reason. But we are here really consolidating our ways of working on the one hand in the business, and also consolidating our infrastructure, consolidating our applications, our support for the business. And it's a huge piece of change. We are now moving into a transformation also for tour operator, to create what I was saying, the vision is create global platform, so that we have one infrastructure, and at the end, the vision is to have one platform globally for one business process. In
this digital transformation program or journey, what do you see as the most important challenges? What is working well, and where do you really need to work hard to get it fixed?
We spoke about what are the main challenges in general for the travel industry. One of the biggest challenges we have is to get more operational efficient.
Okay.
We have very small margin business as a reseller at the end.
Yeah.
So we really need to find ways to make it always better, always more efficient. And to do this from a digital perspective, I need to understand very well the business processes. So I would say the integration with the business, the level of understanding from our people in IT about the business processes is absolutely a key to success if we want to progress in the digital transformation.
Okay.
And on the other hand, it's also having enough understanding about technology. Especially now, it's very exciting in this artificial intelligence hype. How are we getting more understanding about technology in our businesses, that they understand how can they maybe improve their processes thanks to digitalization.
So the CIO and the teams, the CIOs and their teams, they need to really understand the business very well.
Yes.
So they need to travel a lot. And, but also the business leaders need to understand IT enough. So you see that also as the role of you and your colleagues in informing the business leaders on what they can do with IT?
Yes, I see this very much. We are doing also quite a lot in this direction, especially around AI, for example. We are trying to build up a lot of trainings programs, and we had a lot of more than thousands of colleagues in IT, but also outside IT. We have a program driven from our HR department on Embrace AI, so trying to promote technology in a broader sense or into the business.
Okay, and where do you see the, let's say, the low hanging fruit in the travel industry where AI can really help you in operational efficiency or in customer experience?
So what we are doing a lot now is to make use of data for content production. So trying to get the right content, putting this right content, so personalization, try to really match the needs of the customer, what we know about the customer to the content we have, and try to find, if we are successful in finding the good match, I strongly believe that we can increase also our margins, because you will be more willing to pay for something if it's more for you, or if it's more what you would like to have. So there's a lot of revenue growth as chance in this complexity. And it is also a lot of efficiency we can gain. For example, in predictive maintenance in the airline, we are doing now a usage of AI. We are using AI also for route planning. So to try to optimize our transfer in the destination, saving cost on the one hand, having a better customer experience, especially because if you have maybe less stop or to come to your hotel, it's also a nice customer experience. So a lot of data, a lot of complexity, but on the other hand, a lot of opportunities that we have in the tourism to create a better holiday experience.
So you said tourism and the business is a low margin business.
Yes.
So that means that there's always pressure on cost. I mean, you're a quoted company, so having the right results is of course important. So how does that translate in your work as CIO? I mean, there's a constant managing cost is always a priority, I can imagine. So what do you see as the biggest cost drivers in the global organization as TUI, if we look at the IT part?
So the biggest, it's a little bit, especially in my area, I'm managing a lot of suppliers, because in the operational part, like airline, hotels and resorts, and also for corporate systems, finance and HR, we are really looking at on-the-shelf solution for most of the application we have. So on this part of the business, and some other colleagues also, like colleague computing, or we are looking at how can I manage my suppliers in a very efficient way, creating long-term relationship with them. So it's also here we are trying to gain some excellent results with the management, with the providers, having quarterly business review with them, and trying to discuss as much as we can about quality, about delivery, etc. with them. So big part of it. To manage this also, what we have in place is with our group procurement, very strong processes to do RFPs, so request for proposal in a regular basis to ensure that we are renegotiating contract on a regular basis. It's also compliance. We are in a legal frame that we need to do it. Along this, we come back later on sustainability, but we're also trying to look at working with sustainable partners and having our supply chain on the spot and being sure that we are working with sustainable and reliable partners. So a big piece of work on this. Yeah. The second part of our cost, obviously, are FTEs, so people. Yeah. Especially in the sales part, so it's less my area, but the colleagues who are creating our web interfaces and especially also now our mobile interface. We are strategy now mobile first to try to have still omni-channel. We still have retail, we still have web, but we want to focus to move on the app. And on this side, as we are creating a USP for us, we want to keep the intellectual property with us. And so the reason why we have here in this space a lot of developers. And here there's a lot of work that we are doing as a team to look at the best sourcing strategy we can have, mixing up people coming from different countries, having a long bench in working with a company in India, for example, and trying to get this mixture between good quality of development, continuity also, and creating a hub in Portugal since 2 years to have colleagues who are really working for us very intensively and being part of our teams. And managing resources is a never-ending story. We are in the budget phase right now and trying to showcase what is the efficiency of the team. I think there's also a topic for CIOs in general now is the focus to showcase how much value we are creating with the digitalization, which is not always easy. No. But we need to have this focus as an IT organization more and more to showcase how are we productive or not, because, and I mean, I don't know, but in a lot of companies, IT, I would say, is too expensive, too slow. So it's something we really need to work with.
In managing your costs, there's a number of different angles, let's say. One is to make sure that you work as much as possible with standard applications, off the shelf, let's say, software. Second is that you have strategic partnerships so that you can really manage them well, close collaboration, optimize the working together with your strategic partners. And then the third part, where you need to develop and create a unique advantage, making sure that you there manage the resources quite well. Is that good summary?
Yes, it is super good summary. And maybe also to add to that is that you were speaking at the beginning on standard solution. Again, our vision, create global platform. We are strongly believing in the fact that if we have one solution, we can leverage a lot more. For now, we still have in different countries for the same processes, different flavor of sometimes even the same supplier, but we have sometimes different flavor of the installation or application. So there's a lot of work we need to do, and here it's coming back to the integration with the business, is to say we need to have aligned processes in the business.
Also,
it's here where I personally really want to have people understanding both sides to ensure that we are delivering the right digital solution for the right business processes.
So Isabelle, I can imagine also in managing costs, also managing infrastructure cost is an important thing. So how do you make sure that you can manage, reduce cost and infrastructure while at the same time being innovative and resilient?
So we have a lot of activities around infrastructure. It's in the IT organization. We have colleagues dedicated to our infrastructure management. So they are my providers, so to say, internally. As TUI, we decided a few years ago to move into AWS cloud solution. So we have an hybrid solution. We still have on-premise, and we have AWS cloud solution. In the cloud, we are more or less completely on AWS.
Okay.
The reason why we did this is that in the last 10 years, AWS developed something like 3,400 services or something. They are so quick and so agile that it will be impossible for us to manage the cost necessary to create such infrastructure. So we are working with them, training our people a lot in this direction. And it's making us more scalable, more resilient, and at the end also quicker. It's not only about managing the cost. On the other hand, we migrated for short now our data center from one place to the other. And it was a super good exercise also to manage cost, to do some housekeeping, to review where we are with applications. And we successfully moved also a lot of servers in the cloud. Nevertheless, as we have a lot of legacy, one of the challenges we have right now is how are you migrating legacy application from on-premise to the cloud, because it's then just getting a lot more expensive. And
if it's just lift and shift, it doesn't bring much, right? It
doesn't bring much. So here we need to have a long-term strategy to say when we are decommissioning now our old applications, we are making them cloud native automatically. So there's a plan, and we are moving into this direction as quick as we can.
Okay, so today you're in a clear hybrid cloud environment, but the strategy is to go step by step, more and more cloud.
Yes, we will see. There are a few applications where I don't know if we can go so far. It's also interesting because I had some discussion with other logistic company, for example. You need to have this independency also in your infrastructure. So maybe we will still also keep some on-device, on-premise application if they are so critical. There's a lot of strategy to look at it.
Well, there's, I think, very few companies that can really go 100% cloud, are they?
Yeah. It's personally, I have some doubt. What is also in terms of resilience, you really need to think about if you are going completely AWS. I mean, before AWS is completely down, you have...
Half the world is going down.
Probably we will have then other problems so that you don't care. But nevertheless, there's some also strategic dependencies that you need to take into consideration. And for now we have very clear strategy. We want to go cloud native as much as we can.
Well, we touched a little bit on going down. Downtime is can be a huge factor in an organization, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. What kind of systems do you have in place, or processes do you have in place to manage that? Because it's part of life, but how do you manage that?
So it's very different from one area to the other, and we had during the summer last year a huge event with CrowdStrike. We are using CrowdStrike for security oversight, and especially in the airline, for example, we had some difficulties to restart everything on time. So it has an impact also on the business. And after this, what we are reviewing as an organization is a completely disaster recovery policy. We now have documented for all our applications what are the disaster recovery program. We are testing them regularly. And what is very interesting also is that we working a lot now, especially in airline, with the business to define our business continuity plan. Because it's not also here again only a topic of IT, but it's also a discussion with the business to say, okay, if we have a downtime, what could be workaround, what are possibilities? So sometimes it's after 72 hours, we can't fly anymore without IT. But at least during this time, what are the the processes we put in place. How can we train the people also in the business working without IT?
Yeah, because it's a real-time business for the flight industry. If the systems go down, the planes cannot take off, right?
Yes, and it's a little bit the same in an hotel. If you're coming in the hotel and the check-in system is not available, it will be a struggle. Or if you want to check in a cruise departure and you have no IT, and you have 3,000 people wanting to check into your cruise, it's also you need to be very resilient on.
So you did your post-mortem analysis and you built your plans based on that, and because accidents are going to happen, it's unavoidable. And you cannot have 100%, not be 100% resilient, so that will happen again. But at least if you have the plans to and know and also the business knows what to do, that's the important part, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Good. Let's talk a little bit more about security as well, because we talked about systems, trying to standardize and as much as possible also. Infrastructure-wise and so on, moving to the cloud, hybrid cloud, but complexity. I mean, that's a topic that we're discussing here. The more that our systems are complex, the higher the security risks are as well. So, can you touch a little bit on that? What specific, unique security challenges do you see in your business?
So, as a travel industry, we are dealing with a lot of customer information all over the place, in all our touch point, and also with a lot of finance information, because you are paying regularly, and we have a lot of suppliers. We have a very scattered supplier landscape, because if you're thinking in excursion, for example, sometimes there are very small suppliers somewhere. So here definitely we have a lot of complexity, and also the complexity is coming from the fact that we need to work all over the world. So if you're thinking, yes, obviously our main focus are Spain, Greece, or Turkey. So, but even in Turkey, having some Wi-Fi security legislation in the hotel is different than in Europe. So here we have a lot of challenges to create a security framework for the group that you can apply in these destinations. We are growing now extremely quickly in Asia and China. You can imagine also here we have different challenges with IT security and cyber security. So how can you have a group-wide framework and think local is one issue. The other issue we have is the fact that we have people working also everywhere. So our crew people, our pilots are traveling, everywhere in the hotels. You have also a lot of different type of people working in a digital environment. So how are we ensuring identification? It's not so easy. They don't all have two devices to identify themselves. So this complexity is really a challenge for a brand that is super attractive for hackers.
It's a public company and so on and so on. So now I start to understand that in fact your business is quite complex by nature, because you have it's a combination of all different businesses, the airlines and the cruises and the hotels, and it's all different types of businesses with different processes, and then in all these different countries at the same time with local legislation, culture, and so on and so on. So I can imagine that indeed, and then keeping that secure, and where the human factor, of course, is one of the most important things in security, correct?
Yeah. So we are doing a lot with the security colleagues. So we have obviously a CISO, and he's with the team doing a great job to create trainings programs for the people, for the awareness, and being now international in all languages, and we are investing a lot in training our people. We have also SOC, so a security operational center. We are using very modern technology, like I said CrowdStrike before, but with other also technology to track every incident that are happening. And we have also very well, in the meantime, organized security champion, security organization, that if incidents are happening, we can react quickly. So it's a lot of work. training and awareness, as I was saying, if you're thinking about hotels all over the world, it's not always easy to do this translation.
Yeah, I can imagine that that's the most difficult part in security in general is the human factor, right? Correct. Good. Isabelle, let's also talk a little bit about one of your major focuses in the organization, that's sustainability. So how are you integrating all the different sustainability practices in the company and digital strategy? So maybe we can address it from two different angles. I mean, we have sustainability that we can do with IT, where IT can support the business, and then sustainability within IT. So let's start maybe first with the sustainability of the business itself and how you and IT help the organization to become more and more sustainable.
So obviously the carbon footprint from the IT organization in TUI in comparison to our cruises business and airline business is not super relevant.
Yeah.
But digitalization can also help here a lot, what we are doing.
Yeah.
To be clear, in the airline and cruises, the main driver for sustainability will be new type of fuels. Yeah. So it will be the big game changer. Yeah. But in the meantime, what we are trying to do is indeed to look at making use, I said before, of artificial intelligence, for example, to calculate better routes for the flights, allowing us to consume less kerosene. We are making use of AI technology also in cruises now to try to manage better our food waste. Yeah. I would like to use this also more in the hotel environment. So there are pockets of topics that we can deal with and try to, especially in fuel consumption. I think it will be more and more that we have the opportunity, thanks to data and technology, to be better. Yeah. Not only for TUI, but as an industry in general. It will be one of the changes we can have.
There's also a big emphasis in our community, if we talk about sustainability, on the reporting part. And so there's a lot of reporting to be done. I mean, does that really help an organization, or is that more work, or is it also, does it create awareness in an organization for sustainability? How do you look at that?
I have my personal view, my CEO has a view. So is it currently a lot of requirements? The ESG reporting, especially for a company like us, is really a massive piece of work. Yeah. Here also, IT can help. We have now digital solution that we are putting in place to gather the information, consolidate the information, ensure we are reporting in a good way. Yeah. We are working on a chatbot for sustainability to help our colleagues from investor relation and for communication to answer questions on sustainability. So there's a lot of here also where we can help through technology to ease the burden of reporting. And we are doing a good job. It's nevertheless at the end a huge amount of work, especially if you are so scattered that you have 300 hotels who needs to report on a regular basis their water consumption or plastic consumption, etc. It's something you can automate, but just up to a certain point. Maybe in the future it will also here evolve a lot with more sensor technology in the hotels, that you have more automated reporting. But here again, now if we are talking about some hotels in Zanzibar, or sometimes it's not easy to put this technology in place, or in old hotel that we have, it's not always possible. So
there's quite a business team around sustainability in the organization as well.
Yes.
And so you support them, you make sure that they can have an impact.
Yes, exactly. So we are supporting the sustainability team. We are supporting them. A lot of topics are happening also in the different business functions. And what we are looking at also is to support the organization for the supply chain management. We have energy management audits for the data center in Germany that also needs to be done currently. So there's a lot of these topics we need to also to support.
Yeah. And then sustainability in IT, is that also becoming more and more a factor when you select your partners, when you select your suppliers? That we talked about the supply chain, and does that also work in IT? That's an emphasis?
Yes. So in all our contracts right now, we have a sustainability part where we are looking at how sustainable are our partners. So in IT, as in the rest of the organization, in IT, what we do is that, and here it's also for me very important, that at TUI, so in my own company, the footprint of IT is not so big. But if you look at IT in general, we are producing as an industry, the IT industry, more already now than the overall airline industry. And the IT industry is dramatically growing right now in comparison to the airline industry. So there's a lot of, for me, it's super important also in terms of, I would almost say, employer branding, that for all people in IT, we are ensuring that they have an understanding about what does it mean to work in a green IT organization. So the first step we did is that we worked on measuring our CO2 footprint. And if I'm speaking with a lot of other CIOs, it's not always clear. So it's not so easy, because it's also here gathering a lot of information according on how you're measuring the CO2 footprint from your hardware, etc. And one of our surprises, but we were surprised that indeed our data center is not so CO2 consuming, because now we have green energy. So we did a huge progress in moving into a more modern data center, renewing our hardware, etc. For the cloud, depending with who for a cloud provider you're working with, it's different to have very clear measurement. But the biggest CO2 consumption we have is due to the screen we have in the main offices, in the hotels, on cruises.
The screens are consuming most energy?
For example. So how are we now looking at suppliers who are helping us to diminish this footprint? And soon we are going to talk about, we are awarding our providers on sustainability once a year. Last year it was for IT and the hotels. This year we are going to enlarge this award to airline, cruises, and also other suppliers and IT suppliers. And maybe one of them could have an impact on our screen. So it's here where we are trying to combine and have a holistic view on the topic sustainability.
And you said IT overall industry is a very important player in energy consumption in the first place. And now Gen AI or AI in general is not going to help, right?
No, I think it's on the one hand a huge challenge to balance the consumption we will have with AI as society. On the other hand, what we can see already is that the AI are trained now to learn a lot quicker, a lot more efficient, etc. So I assume that we will have also a little bit of going down. On the other hand, what is getting cheaper will be more used, so you will have this increase again. So yes, there will be a lot of learning that we need to have as an IT industry. And we are training now our people in IT here on green coding. We define a framework with green coding with 7 rules. I will not tell all of them, but for example, avoiding languages that are more consuming than the others, making a good choice of making use of graviton, or what can we do, what is a framework that we are giving to our developers to support them to think green. So they need to think security first, but also to think sustainability when they are programming and making use of computing power.
I can also imagine that if you work with cloud providers, also there you need to manage your users and your IT teams because it's very easy to switch on a new machine and so on and so on, but increases cost and CO2 as well. So managing that is an important aspect as well, I can imagine. Yeah.
And the advantage on this, at least in the IT, is that doing a good FinOps is on the one hand impacting your cost, and on the other hand your sustainability impact. So it's also here a very good combination to take this both aspect in consideration.
Yeah. We touched upon already that TUI is a very international organization. You're in many countries, both in where your clients are as your destinations. So that means that also when I walk around here in the office, you have all different cultures, all different languages, and so on and so on. How do you manage that complexity? Because that's I mean, it's at the one hand, it's of course very interesting to have this cultural diversity, but also it's not necessarily easy to have people working together over borders and so on. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so DEI is really very important to us at TUI, that we have this diversity in culture, and also not only in culture, but in age, in everything. And what is happening now in the last 3 years, we created international teams in IT. So most of my teams are located in different also locations.
Okay.
The fact that we are trying to work more with hubs, like in India, like in Portugal, it's also increasing this number of location.
Yeah.
And yes, it's I would say, a daily learning curve, how you managing in an efficient way such teams. Also here with cost constraint, you can't travel every week. People are not willing to travel also every week.
Yeah.
So how are you creating cohesion within a team without being at the same location?
Yeah.
One of the what we are doing currently is at least once a month that we have hybrid all hands. So people are coming in one office, and we have now one virtual communication, but at least where the people are in different offices at the same time to meet people. We are trying to encourage also this diversity. We are working with some different tools for team development to speak about cultural differences and to manage them in a good way. Yeah. We have leadership training on that.
We're now, I think, about 5 years since the start of COVID, and where all of a sudden we have to start working from home. I think now this is common practice and so on. How do you personally compare how you work with your teams now compared to 6, 7, 8 years ago when everybody was still in the office? Where do you see advantages and disadvantages?
For me, until now, we didn't find again a good way of working together. So it was for a while very clear, everyone at home, completely hybrid, completely online. It was okay. In the meantime, we are trying here to come back to the office. For now at TUI, we don't have a politic to a certain number of days, etc. It's more we are encouraging the colleague to come on a regular basis. I'm trying to be more and more also at the office. What I'm realizing, I was socialized 20 years long in going at the office, going to the cafeteria where we were together, meeting people randomly. Yeah. So you're not only meeting people you are daily working with. Yeah. And it's impossible to create this in a virtual environment. You can create virtual coffee time where everyone can come if they want, etc. But it's not the same, this random, I'm walking around, I'm going from one part of the office to the other, and then I suddenly meeting someone. And
so for younger people, it's more difficult to socialize within a company nowadays.
Yes, I'm very a little bit observing what's happening, because on the other hand, I am doing regular calls with my newcomers. So every quarter I'm trying to talk to the newcomers. A lot of them are young, not all, but and a lot of the young people are just starting now having a different way of socializing. No? They are the job is one part, but they have a social life a lot stronger, maybe locally where they have with their hobbies or whatever. So it's we will see. Nevertheless, I have some difficulty sometimes to ensure the cohesion to the company if you're working in Valencia completely on your own and you are coming to an office once a month. It's for me it's a little bit question mark. I don't want to say it's not working because it's working. But let's see in 5 years what the impact is. And personally, I think that we are noticing. I'm noticing this for myself. It's always a little bit difficult to come to the office. It's like, oh. But on the other hand, when you're here and you're meeting people, it's really nice to have this social life. Let's see how it's going.
Well, you're not alone. I think many organizations are struggling with that. Yes. And some organizations are forcing people to be on certain days in the office. So it's an interesting thing to observe. How is that going to evolve in the coming time? Another, we talked about partners. You have a couple of strategic partners. How do you optimize working together with them? So you have people, your own people, and then outsourcing partners. How do you make sure that you can really work with them and collaborate with them? How do you create this one team with people from outside the company?
So we have now hubs. So our hubs are like internals. We have one in India, one in Portugal, and in the east region of Europe. And with these people, we are trying to integrate them really completely into our organization with the same training. They have person reporting, they are reporting into people of our organization. We are looking at having even leaders in these hubs also managing other teams. So really to take them as a complete integration in our organization and focusing on a few of them. We were all over the place with a lot of outsourcing partner, etc. And we are trying also here to simplify the complexity in providing a few centers where we can recruit, but not being so broad as we were.
Okay. Now we discussed on many different topics. We discussed on the digital transformation that you're going through. The impact on security, the impact on cloud, and so on and so on. If you take a step back and you try to use your crystal ball, where do you see this going? And especially then in this industry, a complex industry as a travel industry, where do you see this the future of in this industry? How can you make sure that the complexity is not exploding further, and that you continue to digitize as well the customer experiences and so on?
So the tourism industry will remain a business industry. We are digitalizing always more. We are creating always more digital touch point with the customer, but at the end you will have an holiday experience in a destination with
people.
So what can be really changed and is what we were discussing at the beginning. I think it's personalization, really making use of the technical possibility we have to personalize what we want to sell you, so to say. The second part is really making use of technology in a lot broader sense to be more efficient. We can really go further on this road. Aligning our processes is super important, and also digitalizing, automating a lot of processes, making use of this. And the third one is to make it happen in the legal frame, in a secure frame, because trust is what we need, especially around vacation, etc. You want to be in a trusted and secure environment. They are here. The complexity is going to rise. We we can't change it. We need to be focused also here on mobile, maybe here trying here to evaluate quicker in this direction to avoid complexity, having omni-channel and a lot of pages and webs and etc. So I think it's something here we need also to move into.
Yeah. A completely different thing that was hyped a couple of years ago was everything that had to do with augmented reality, virtual reality. Is that still on your topics to discuss and to think about, or can we all forget about that in this industry?
Oh, it's interesting. On Friday, we will have a panel internally to discuss about this.
Oh, yeah.
So we were talking about this yesterday. Some of our specialists are stating now that the assumption is that AI will migrate a lot with these type of technologies, that you will have a lot more possibilities, maybe entertainment in the airplane to already, thanks to all the data we have, to personalize and prepare you for the excursion during your flight. Or I think there still have a lot of opportunities to integrate these technologies, making your check-in experience when you're coming to an hotel also a little bit easier. If you are going into a hotel, to help you to find the right places, or on a cruise ship. Let's see. It's also here a question of cost. But on virtual reality, personally, I think in the airline industry for maintenance, we will see some progress. I thought it would be quicker because we are, I think, 5 years ago already. But I strongly believe that we can do a lot more with augmented reality and helping the engineers to work and get information when they are working on the.
But so far, it hasn't really delivered on its promise from a couple of years ago, and has to do, I think, with the devices that are still too clumsy and so on. So we'll see if there's advantage if we have more glasses and extra screens and so on. Because then I can imagine that not only in the business part and the operations and so on, but then also in the consumer part, this could really, if I fly. And I already can start to imagine, and I'll select the trips that I want to do, and so on and so on. So that's going to be an interesting one to follow up as well. Now, Isabelle, let's talk a little bit more about the TUI IT organization. You are one of the 5 CIOs, I understand, in the company. How is the IT organized in general, and how is your part of the IT business organized here in TUI?
So the IT organization is organized with some support function, finance function, HR function, communication, so as all business unit. And then we have some CIOs, more operational, and we are organized around the, let's say, production or the processes we have in the organization. So one colleague is taking care of what we are calling sourcing in a broader sense. So every application we need to get products and in our systems to create then a package. We have a group of people working on sales, and so web, app, etc. So when we buy something, how can we put this together, price this, and sell it to the customer? We have then some colleagues working more on data analytics and the customer. So everything on customer management and loyalty in this space. And then taking care, as soon as you have a booking, you are starting to be in this operational part. So I'm with the corporate systems, we are getting the money in, paying the suppliers, and we are taking care of your flight, your hotels experience. And we have then another colleagues, because we have a big organization for excursion responsible for the excursion part. So we are along the production or the business processes. We are
and you are in this role already a couple of years, I understand. So where do you spend most of your time? If I would be looking at your agenda, where's you spend time with customers, with internal customers, with your teams? Where's your focus nowadays?
I'm trying to spend some time with the businesses here in town. With the end customer, I'm not spending so much time, if I'm honest. I would say I'm spending, 1 day, 2 days with my internal customers, so the airline, the corporate colleagues, etc., managing portfolio, discussing with them what their needs, etc. I have 1 day and a half, something like that, working with my team, defining the strategy, and the 2 last days are splitted between budget discussion, finance, managing my my topics, and doing some discovery, going to conferences, trying to meet. Also, I'm trying to connect and create a lot of networking with other CIOs to open my mind and have a look outside what's happening.
How would you describe the IT operating model that you have? Is it a traditional IT is separate, or you're more using cross-functional teams where business and IT people are working closely together? And how is that evolution?
We can evaluate even more, but we have now clear product owners in the businesses working very intensively with the IT together. It depends from one area to the other, but I would say in my area we have a very good integration. The hotels and resorts colleagues are on site very often. They know exactly how the business is working. Same for the airline people. So we are very near to the business, and in all the projects we are doing, we also always have teams with IT and business. It's not, besides our colleagues working on colleague computing, so it's one of the other department I forgot before, with security and colleague computing. They are really more our internal providers, but for the rest we are all very near to the business.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about your management style. How would you describe that? How do you make sure that your team works well together?
Because I'm very open. I'm trying to communicate very open and regularly with the teams. My management style, I would say, is collaborative. I like very much to make decisions together. The reason why is I personally believe in the world of complexity, it's almost now mission impossible to make decision alone. But it's my personal view. I really appreciate a lot to have different views, even if it's sometimes uncomfortable. But I like very much to listen to the different views. Then I can make a decision, and it will not please everyone. Even if in my personality, I would prefer to have always everyone agreeing on the solution. But I really strongly believe that in the complex world where we are today, you need to have diversity in your analysis when you want to make a decision. You're
not a typical engineer that has become a CIO. You come more from the business side. How do you see that as an advantage or sometimes as a disadvantage? But your background are coming more from the business side into a CIO role?
On my level, I would say it's an advantage. I understand and speak the language of the business. So, and I created a CIO playbook for me. So my statement is to say, as a CIO, I need to deliver and look at 6 different pillars. One of them is, the first one is for me, the integration with the business. What I was saying before, you need to understand the way the business you're working for is working to better create value with them together thanks to digitalization. If you're doing technology for technology, it will not work. And if you don't, and it's here for me very, very important. So it's, I understand technology enough, but it's also very clear that indeed then I need to rely on very strong architects, etc. My belief is that we need to in the IT organization to increase the level of understanding for processes, for finance, for value creation, etc. And we need to have very, very, very good specialists and tech people, no doubt about it. But the technology is also evolving so quickly now that for me it's also here, how can you keep pace with that and with your people?
And how do you do that? Is it easy for you to attract top talent and to keep them, to have them motivated to excel in their work?
We are investing a lot in diverse trainings, etc. We have a very good collaboration with AWS here also on that, to train and qualify our people on a broader scale. We are proposing Udacity, so we have really we are investing a lot in the training, continuously training of our people. So it's one way. The brand is attractive. I think working in this industry is just nice. Putting a smile on people's face was for a long time our motto, and it's nice. I mean, it's nicer to work for such a product and than anything else.
Than for a boring bank or something.
And the other point is also, we have diverse, obviously, packages, etc. But one interesting point we have is that we are allowing workation. So 6 weeks a year, you're allowed to work from somewhere else.
From a holiday destination.
From a holiday destination.
Wow, super.
As long as you have a good Wi-Fi and you're negotiating this with your manager, you can travel all over the world.
I have the feeling that there's a kind of a special culture within TUI, you know? I mean, a lot of people working for a long time. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's changing quite a lot. But indeed, yes, the tourism industry is a little bit of a small world, and people are coming here and staying there. The airline is very similar. I heard one day, if you have the taste of kerosene once, you don't want to change. So there's a lot of attraction from the industry. That's true.
So it's starting to get to be clear a little bit what kind of manager that you are. How do you think you are perceived as a leader? And maybe a good way to ask the question is, what do you think that people will say about you when you're not around? If they have a coffee together and they talk about you as a leader, how do you think you're perceived?
Very enthusiastic. I hope they will say that I am motivating and encouraging them to do the best. Probably a little bit exhausting. And so because I have a lot of passion for what I'm doing, I like very much to work with people. I'm trying to get the best out of everyone. And so I'm pushing people a little bit sometimes out of their comfort zone.
So you're passionate about your work. What is it that you do outside of work? What are your personal passions?
Skiing.
Skiing.
The mountains. I'm coming from the mountains, so I am missing the mountains a lot, you know. Skiing, I'm drawing and doing some photography, and obviously my family with my 3 children is not giving me a lot of hobbies.
Well, you shared with us that you have 3 children, 15, 20, 22. What are and let's go one level deeper in this discussion. What are the values that you have passed on to your children and that you live by yourself?
One important is always to be honest. Sometimes I'm a little bit too honest for some culture, but I think for me it's very important to have values, to stay to my values and to be honest about it. And the second point, what is very important to me, is ensuring that they take accountability for their decisions. So maybe you're making a bad decision, but I don't want to say, oh, it's not my fault, it's somebody else. It's really a behavior I'm trying to avoid, and at least to reflect on what is my part of the situation, what is the part of my responsibility in a situation. So I hope they are going to take accountability for their life.
Isabelle, you shared with us that your MBTI profile is you are an ENFJ, a protagonist, and this is a personality type with extroverted, intuitive, feeling and judging traits. And these are typically warm, forthright types that love helping others, that tend to have strong ideas and values, and they back their perspective with creative energy to achieve their goals. So it's a typical leadership profile, I would say. So, but the strengths of ENFJs are that they are receptive, they're very reliable, they're very passionate about what they do, also altruistic, charismatic. So of these typical characteristics, which one resonates best with you, and can you illustrate that maybe a little bit?
So I'm very reliable. If I promise to do something, I'm doing this most of the time. So I really feel very reliable. Charismatic, I would say. I can take people with me, convince people in different ways. And yes, passionate, I think. Very emotional, so if I like something, I will push for it. I was very enthusiastic on taking responsibility for sustainability in IT. It's something that I grew up with a very bright team together, and it's something like I can do very well.
I also see it the way that you interact with the people around you, that you are very much a people person, right? Yeah, I can.
Yes.
It comes across very obviously. So potential weaknesses of the protagonist are that sometimes they can be unrealistic. They can be overly idealistic. Sometimes they are condescending, looking down on people. They can be intense, and sometimes overly empathetic. Which one of these are you struggling with, or have you struggled with, and how do you overcome these?
So one is definitely being over empathetic. I had a lot of work to do in terms of personal development to learn to say it's my emotion and not the emotion of the others, or their emotion and not my emotion. It is still sometimes I'm feeling like something is unsaid in a room or etc. And I feel like I need to say it. Okay. Even if actually it's not really my emotion. And so being empathic is absolutely strength, because I can read a room, I can take into consideration different perspectives that are in the room. Sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. Okay.
And have you done, I don't know, specific trainings to help you with that?
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's different. It's different to train this, but the first step is to realize that that it's happening. And yes, it's part of. If you're working with me, it's part of the package. It's part of the package. And the other point is. Unrealistic. It's sometimes I'm impatient, I want to do things, and I'm very quick to say, it will happen. On this one, what I learned over the years is to have around me people who are compensating such energy. So I have always around me if one or two person who are helping me to be more realistic. Okay. And so I've not reducing this energy, because I think it's a super power to have energy, to have ideas, to be creative, etc. And having someone that is compensating this is really good.
Okay. Do you have a personal mantra or a philosophy that guides you in your life and your career?
One of them, one is really try to enjoy every day. I think, and it's getting older, it's getting always more and more important that, yes, just try to enjoy the day and take the challenge that are coming as a challenge, and enjoy life.
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem.
In life, who is it that you look up to? Who have you learned from? Who are maybe mentors, important people in your life?
My grandpa. He was a police officer, and I really admire him a lot. He was always calm. He was exactly the contrary to me. So he was really a role model in this sense, but also being super reliable and super accessible. No. And I had the chance to have some bosses in my life who were very role models. I really appreciate very much to look at other people and try to learn out of different behaviors.
So my favorite question of our series of interviews now is, you've built a lot of success and you've built quite a career, Isabelle. So, but we all make our mistakes. We all have our failures, and that's fine. I mean, of course. So could you share with us maybe one of your most brilliant failures ever and what you learned from it?
I'm not sure if it's a failure. It's more almost a behavior. I am lacking of confidence. And it's always again and again that if a situation is happening, I have a lot of, oh my gosh, because it was my mantra to take accountability, etc. So it's a little bit, and it's sometimes a failure, or it's driving failure, because I feel accountable for everything. And so it's but a brilliant failure, something that went completely wrong. Yes, I had some presentation where at the end I was like, oh my gosh, it was it was just a nightmare, just missing the point, not giving it. So for example, on this I learned also to prepare myself in a better way and try to reflect when I want to present something, to check with others, is it understandable or not.
So come prepared.
Yes, come prepared to fail.
So could you maybe to share with us maybe one of the best things that has ever happened in your life?
The best things, it's always for people who have children. I would say a lot of us are saying my children.
Of course.
It's really fascinating experience to have this opportunity to have children and deal with them and their complexity and the fact that they are changing every year and having teenagers at home. So it's really the best that happened in my life. On a professional way, I had very the best that happened to me was delivering a huge change program for the company. So it was not in IT, it was my time before. On time, we wanted to make big changes and we were successful. We reduced costs, we changed the processes, and we increased the happiness of the people, because it was the 3 KPIs we defined. And I was extremely proud of it. It was really like, wow, I made something to do a better world. So I was very proud of this.
What is it that you fear most in life?
Losing my health. It was, I would say, it's also here with the, it's another phase in my life, and I'm realizing how important health is. Everything else you can cope with, but if you are not taking care of your health, mental health, physical health, it's really not good.
Okay. Isabelle, I wanted to thank you for your hospitality in welcoming me here today in your beautiful headquarters, and also for this very nice conversation. These interviews are also watched by professionals, young professionals that have the ambition to become a successful CIO and that want to follow in your footsteps. What is the advice that you would give them to make sure that they do the right things and that also can build a serious IT career?
Be prepared to learn every day, especially in the IT. I think it's really something you need to be curious. You need to want to change regularly what you're doing, the way you are doing things. So be prepared to be curious, to learn every day, and also be prepared to collaborate. Without collaboration, we spoke a lot about it with the business on the one hand, with partners, with suppliers, with other, obviously, your teams. Without collaboration, you can't create sustainable working environment, you can't create a sustainable world.
Okay, very good. And on that note, thank you so much, Isabelle. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.